So what has Afrobeat managed to achieve such that such that it was able to put Afrobeats on the global stage that we can learn and copy it in other things?
So I think, first is what I found that's really interesting about Afrobeat is that it's true to itself. Timing has a very important role to play in how things happen, right? And I think that that cannot be ignored. I often talk about leadership and how leadership is time sensitive and is contextual, because maybe my type of leadership would not have been, and what I'm doing would not even have had a single impact 20 years ago or 10 years ago, but is relevant for where the world is right now. And it might not even be relevant in 10 or 20 years from now. So you also have to put things within a context. Like, when did Afrobeat come on the scene? Because Afrobeat is an evolution of a type of music that existed before. So when you talk about the Fela Kutis, before Fela Kuti, there was somebody else, and before, way before my generation. So it's an evolution. But what makes Afrobeat specifically stick now? It's because it's also come across the Burna Boys and Kids, etc., have come along at a time when globally, our mindset, perhaps because of the proliferation of digital platforms and social media, people have access to, if you're sitting in New York and you're a musician and you're looking for inspiration, etc., that's just at the end of your laptop. Whereas before, how would you even know what kind of music they're making in Nigeria? But now you have access to that. So there's something to be said about timing. There's something to be said about increased access to one another, to people across the globe that you might never have met, who can influence the work that you're doing. And then there's something to be said about being unafraid to be oneself. I mean, Burna Boy is not changing Burna Boy to fit what Beyonce is doing. If anything, Beyonce will shift what she's doing or adapt herself to what Burna Boy is doing to be able to make that work. So I think that there's something about staying true to oneself as well. That's definitely one lesson that we can learn. And then also the other thing I'd like to add is just marketing. I mean, when you look at somebody like Wizkid or Burna Boy, there's a huge marketing machine that's operating behind them, that's actually pushing the product out there, because we've seen, and this is something we need to keep re-emphasizing, that there's a lot of money to be made in the creative industries. If you're able to reach the right people at the right time, at the right cost, with the right marketing strategy. So I also think that for me, these guys should be case studies for anybody who works in communications or marketing, to say, what are the marketing strategies that they're employing to be able to have the reach that they have?
I also like the fact that these artists who are now in the global stage are also looking back and lifting other young artists. And it's amazing how there's that camaraderie of people lifting each other. Because that's what we need,
I think it's
right?
beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. It's wonderful. It's the whole looking back and being able to lift others up. But I also think it's the whole diversity and the diversification of skills and merging of different industries. So I don't know if you've been following, the trajectory of Mr. Easy, for example. He's one of the biggest Nigerian artists at the moment. And he started essentially a fund where he invests in African artists that are up and coming, promotes them, puts them on the world stage, and is able to get a return as an actual investor. That's a new way of thinking. It's not just about the music, but it's like, I'm thinking about this artist and their brand potentially as a business, and I'm going to come in as an investor expecting a return. And in order for me to be able to increase my equity in this investment, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. So you can also see that the mindset, even in the music industry, is really starting to shift from music just being an art, that, the whole starving artist narrative, like we're just going to do art and put music out there and people are going to love it and enjoy it. to this is an actual viable business that deserves an investment and return on investment. So that's a new thing altogether. So I'm loving the way that mindsets are shifting across the board, really.
And they have to, right? Because
Yeah,
they think of it as business, then they're able to invest more and also produce quality content in this regard.
exactly. 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 Yeah.